Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well and studies going in full swing. Now just a few days remaining for your CA final November 24 exams, and we've been slogging for the last few months and it just does not seem to get over, right? It is very normal for you to kind of feel that you are unable to get through the entire syllabus because the sheer size of the content is so much that it never feels that you have mastered it all, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm sure that all the efforts that you have put in the past few months are going to bear fruit. Now, the important thing for today's video is for your CA final FR, which is there on I think 3rd of November. What should be your study plan? A few questions. How many days should we allocate? Should we cover all questions, important questions? So I'll quickly run you through the study plan that we have and also answer a few important questions which a student would typically have. Now, first of all, how many days should we allocate? So over here, we have made this file. I'll share this on my Telegram separately, where we have 4 tentative plans, one for 7 days, 6 days, 5 days and 4 days. I would prefer 6 days as the apt one. Again, it depends on whether you want to do more or less, but taking less than 6 days, going up to 4 days is a little dicey. So I would go with the 6-day plan, but in case you are running short on time and you have something else planned, you can refer the plans for 5 days or 4 days separately. So generally, in terms of these chapters, on your last 5 or 6 days that you have, you should cover everything, because financial reporting is, yes, one of the biggest subjects, but because you have this leeway of not just 1.5 days, try to make most of it and get with the best confidence and momentum into your first paper where there is natural nervousness. So the way you do it is you try to mix up the important chapters and the smaller index, important chapters and the smaller index. So over here we will preferably start with share-based payment and financial instruments. Financial instruments getting a little heavier. Then you move on into the asset-based indices, finish all the asset-based indices, and then you move on to again business combination and consolidation. So once we are done with this, you again go back to other indices which are linked to disclosures, etc., like EPS, employee benefits, revenue recognition, all of these being the important ones. And then at the end, you keep everything else, the smaller index like index 1, 7, 10, 24, 34, etc. So in case you have to speed up, you can speed up quite easily over here. And last day we have kept as a buffer day or recap. The broad sequence remains the same in each of these days, just that we have cut short the number of hours if you have lesser time, or given you a slightly more time if you have, can dedicate 7 days, but 6 days are absolutely fine. At max, I would say you can go to 5 days. 4 days gets a little challenging. So you can just review this. We have given even the hours that need to be allocated over here. But while doing so, an important question usually arises. The question over here is, how many days to allocate? First, I would say ideally 6 days should be the apt number of days. Second, should I do all questions or the important ones? So though theoretically, I would say that you would love to do all the questions. If possible, if you have done 2 revisions earlier, you can even touch upon, let us say, all the questions. But if you have lesser time, you can go through the important questions, and we have shared the important questions file earlier. So these are the important questions for the important topics. So this is shared on Telegram as well. For the important topics like business combination, consolidation, revenue, leases, we will try to cover as many problems as possible. And for the bigger chapters, at least solve 2 questions in a proper format. Like in business combination, you will have the professional dynamic question and you will have that AX, BX, ABX question. Maybe 2 of these you will solve fully. In consolidation, maybe you will have that Ram and Krishnan, I think, question. And you will have the chain holding question. At least these 2 questions properly in fair. For financial instruments, you will try to solve when I say full pen and paper solving, as if you are solving a main paper, so that you know with the process. In financial instruments, at least the compound financial instruments and the loan at off-market transactions, at least one question of each of them. For leases, modification of lease, let us say one of the questions. And in revenue, there's this big question of let's say Mr. Anik, if you remember, I'm sorry to blurb out these names, but different students might have done from different materials, and hence the question numbering might not really be consistent, but at least try to do one question on pen and paper while revising. For the other things, you can just go through and do the workings in rough. So to sit and write everything before the exam is not necessary, but at least for the important chapters you should. In my opinion, doing all questions is very much possible in your FR, and especially for topics like maybe where there is more numerical, at least do all the numerical questions. If there is a theory question, maybe if you have lesser time, like in business combination, the starting part is theory, you can probably skip that and do only the important questions. But on the numerical side, if possible, try to do as many questions, and if you just don't have the time, then you go for the important questions. And when I say the important questions, don't just refer the 99 or 100 questions. There's a slightly more detailed important question file, so preferably you should do that. In terms of recent RTPs, MTPs or any other material to be referred, if you have not referred it earlier, I would say it is not really advisable to take up anything new right now. However, if you have limited time, let us say for the recent November 24 RTPs, MTPs as well as the relevant exam question from May 24, we have also shared a separate video in less than an hour or close to an hour. You can cover up everything. For the earlier MTPs, RTPs, if you have not covered it earlier, just proceed with what you have done and give yourself the best chance. In terms of sequence of solving in your main exams, there are different, there is no one set rule, but I would prefer if you start with your MCQs. Do the consolidation chapter or the business combination sum somewhere in the middle, and maybe if you have a question which you are most comfortable with on the descriptive side, you'll start that first. So that kind of rounds up with the important things that you should focus on. I'll not take more of your time at this stage, but I would just want to give you some confidence and some backing on your preparation. It is very normal for you to feel a bit of jitters or nervous anxiety is kind of normal at this stage, and that is what sports up the biggest of the athletes. No one can be cool and calm in such situations, but to be looking forward to something that you have studied so hard, so well, and most likely you are going to nail it pretty well as well. It is very important that you kind of keep your calm and composure, back yourself. Do not refer to anything new at this stage. Ensure that when you're writing the papers, have an adequate time planning, because FR paper is generally the most difficult paper to complete. Don't really focus too much on the presentation, because if you do that in the first 1.5 hours, you will struggle in the next 1.5 hours. Focus on blurping out as much as content as possible in the least possible time. You don't have to kind of give everything that you know. You need to look at the marks, and usually if I have around 30 marks of MCQ, I will try to finish that in around 45 minutes, and the remaining, for example 2 hour 15 minutes, will be dedicated for the remainder of my 70 marks. Approximately that will leave me with approximately 2 minutes per mark. So if it is around a 10 mark question, it will not take more than 20 minutes. If it's a 5 mark question, it should not take more than 10 minutes at max. Ensure that you keep a tab on your time, back yourself with all the positive energy that you have, and I'm sure you have worked really hard, and you will be well compensated for that as you celebrate the next Diwali with the prefix before your name. Okay, so good luck, goodbye, and I'll see you soon. And if there is anything else, I'll put a separate video as well, but for the timing, this is a quick overview of what you should be doing. Good luck, goodbye, and take care.